Sport Clips Haircuts Help a Hero program funds scholarships for U.S. veterans who are pursuing a college degree or vocational certification. Visit your nearest Sport Clips to learn more and donate now through November 11th.
The weekend is me winning.
Here we are. We are back in better than ever. Mike and Mike, presented by Progressive Insurance. Our guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. A Monday in October, and things are starting to round into form. The World Series begins tomorrow. The first college football rankings are around the corner, and someone's school is waking up the echoes.
Hey!
And, of course, a full football Sunday in which a 40-year-old man continues to be the best player in the NFL. All that and a whole lot more. Good morning, Golick.
Good morning, Greeny. It was a wonderful weekend, wasn't it? Just a fantastical week.
I had no complaints because I was in the money. I know immediately where you're going. Golick won our DraftKings pool this week.
That's not what I'm talking about. I was talking about Notre Dame.
Notre Dame just beating the pants off of USC.
Me winning another DraftKings is just another weekend. That's for as much as I win. Actually, it was the first.
I think it was the first time that you were in the money the entire season.
The only person not in the money is Darius. Now, he was on Friday because his new album came out. You weren't here. And,
I see all the songs on the array over there.
Yeah, Trey was ripping both of us because Darius and I were the only two not in the money, and I got in the money, and Darius isn't. But as we said to him, you know what? You're going to be okay. The entertainment thing's working out.
The $20 a week he can somehow manage to swing. But all kidding aside, we were just saying right before the Open rolled that your team and several other factors ruined my Saturday night.
Yeah.
I had a very busy couple of days, so I cleared out the schedule. I'm sitting on the couch. I got the clicker working, and none of the things that
Three things to go to: Penn State, Michigan, Notre Dame, USC,
blowout,
and the Yankees-Astros Game 7.
The Yankees failed to score a run.
I mean, I agree with you. So outside of me sitting at Notre Dame Stadium, which now with the new stadium and all these stadiums getting Wi-Fi now, and I have my big iPad that I have, I can watch the other stuff. And it was the same way. I'm like, nothing really to see here. Not a lot. Just keep watching, Notre Dame bury USC, but I wanted to be entertained somewhere else. And I wasn't. It was a bummer because I was the same as you. You thought there was going to be some really, really good matchups.
Yeah. Saturday night did not go the way we wanted. Sunday was very interesting. Let's go off the top to start things on this busy Monday morning. And the big star of the NFL day yesterday, among many, was Zeke Elliott, who had over 200 yards from scrimmage, Mike. So in what has been something of an up-and-down season in a variety of different ways for Zeke Elliott, he broke out against the winless Niners.
Yeah, career-high 219 scrimmage yards. It was very impressive. He now has 22 touchdowns in 21 games for Dallas, tying the most touchdowns through a player's first 21 games in the Super Bowl era. The others to do it since 1966, some names you'll know: Billy Sims, Marcus Allen, Eric Dickerson, and Edgerrin James. Third player in NFL history with multiple games of 200-plus scrimmage yards and 3 touchdowns before turning 23 years old, which includes Adrian Peterson and Clinton Portis. So the main thing is those are numbers, and numbers are fine. But you're right. With all that's going on with this guy, that's the thing. You can get the facility. We always talk about the game, but even what's going on with him during the week in the hearings, you can go to the facility and you can get lost in there. That's your world in there. He can practice. As you hear Jason Garrett say, he's a professional from that standpoint. We know he has had certainly some issues outside of the facility, but all you heard inside is he works. Does his film study, works out, practices really well, and that's what he can do there. He can just let everything else go by the wayside, let other people handle it, and concentrate on what he needs to do.
And if they could play San Francisco every week, everything would be fine.
Definitely helps.
There are 2 winless teams in the NFL still with them and the Browns.
Off the top.
Also, we got some managerial stuff in the baseball. The Red Sox hired Alex Cora as their manager. That was announced yesterday. And then late in the day, the Mets found their manager as well.
Yeah, they did. Certainly, you started out with the Red Sox hiring Alex Cora. He's going to continue to be the Astros bench coach throughout the World Series. Spent 4 years here as a baseball analyst prior to serving as the bench coach. Third ever Puerto Rican-born baseball manager. But he will stay during that. And the Mets are going to hire the Indians pitching coach, Mickey Callaway. Callaway spent the last 8 seasons as a pitching instructor for the Indians, last 5 as their pitching coach. So already hires being made there, but Callaway obviously can go right away since the Indians are out. But Cora, he'll have to wait and then assume all those duties after he sees if his team can knock off the Dodgers or not.
So a little spate of baseball news before we get to the World Series tomorrow. By the way, we'll have Rob Manfred live
Off the top,
tomorrow. The commissioner. Okay, that didn't take long.
Yeah.
The Phoenix Suns fired their coach yesterday.
Everything's solved right now, right? Get Earl Watson out of there. He's the problem. Earl, you're fired. We should make a run now. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, seriously, it's tied for the second fastest coaching change in NBA history.
Was that D'Antoni?
No.
How many games did D'Antoni last in L.A. that one season? That's what I was trying to remember the other day.
He's not in the top 4 here.
Okay.
The worst is Dolph Schayes lasted 1 game in 71 with the Buffalo Braves. Then you have Earl Watson for the Suns with Chick Reiser from the Baltimore Bullets. Both, and that was back in 1952, 3 games, and Mike Brown with the Lakers in 2012.
That's what I was thinking of. It was Brown.
Yeah, 5 games.
Mike Brown.
He lasted 5 games. But there you go. 3 games. This should solve it all for the Suns. I mean, talk about what did you know going into the season? I mean, seriously?
They're in a total rebuild. Eric Bledsoe is on social media saying he wants out. That's a complete mess
Off the top
of a situation. Notre Dame. Hey, I have the song.
Woo!
Which is better? Is the fact that Notre Dame has played its way back into, let's call it what it is, has played their way back into a position where they control their own destiny to get into the college football playoff, which they did. And the other thing they did was they knocked USC and probably the entire conference, hopefully out of the conference football playoff, which was sweeter for the Notre Dame alum.
Well, boy, you know what? That's a great question because there is something to beating USC, but knowing you've ruined their season.
They're done. They couldn't afford another loss. They lost.
When Mike and Jake's senior year, they beat USC in their last game, and that gave them the last win they needed to get to the national championship game. So it's one thing to beat your rival, but then to beat them and have meaning behind it, whether bad for them or good for you. Overall, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, and Penn State are 3 college, obviously have great history. It's been a while since they were all relevant. Sunday's poll marks the 82nd time that Oklahoma, Notre Dame, and Penn State were all ranked in the top 10 of the AP poll. But the first time since 1993.
Okay.
1993. So that is very cool to have Penn State, another big one against Ohio State, Notre Dame against a ranked team this week in North Carolina State.
Oh, that's a great game.
Game day chose to go to Ohio State because, of course, that's what Herb Street wanted because he went to Ohio State. Where do you go, Herbie? We'll come to Notre Dame, real school.
Where is that game this weekend? Is that game at NC State or is that Notre Dame?
Notre Dame?
It is at Notre Dame.
Yeah, game day could be at Notre Dame, but they're going to Ohio State because that's what Herbie wants.
They were already there this year, too.
Yeah, they were already there. They were just in Penn State. Penn State going to Ohio State. But, Herbie calls up, whoever he calls up, I want game day at Ohio State. I want game day at Ohio State.
Why are you laying this on Herbie? Why are you all of a sudden doing this?
All on Herbie. His fault. And his fault. I'm kidding. Not his fault. By the way, really quickly, we're going to talk about this. Josh Adams, the running back for Notre Dame, needs to be in the Heisman talk.
Oh, dude, all of a sudden you're interested in the Heisman.
Listen.
You who never stop ripping the Heisman, you hate the Heisman.
It's a ridiculous award, but if you're going to give it out every year, this guy deserves to be in the conversation to get this ridiculous award.
Okay.
How about that? Did I justify it?
All of a sudden, that matters. And then finally, we get to Sunday in the NFL, and listen, what Tom Brady is doing is ridiculous. I don't take back a word that I said before the season or anything. Eventually, this has to stop. It just can't keep going, but it doesn't appear to be happening anytime soon. He is right now playing the position better than anyone else. Obviously, the injury to Aaron Rodgers is a significant factor in that, but Tom Brady is the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
Correct me if I'm wrong on any of these, Hembo. I think he's on pace for 66% of completion, just over 5,000 yards. I think 34 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. It's somewhat ridiculous what he's doing. And from the game last night, since they outscored Atlanta in the Super Bowl when they were down 28-3, they basically outscored Atlanta 48-0 or something like. Since that point, it's been ridiculous. And for Atlanta, blocked field goal, missed field goal, they had a goal line stand against them. They just do not look anywhere near like the team they were last year. And all of a sudden, that defense, especially that secondary for New England, played extremely well.
And that is Off the Top with Mike and Mike, brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Upgrade to shaving with a fresh blade whenever you want for a fraction of the price. Join DollarShaveClub.com today. The stat that you're looking for is from the time it was 28-3 Falcons in the Super Bowl, from then until now, the Patriots have outscored them 54-7. 54-7.
At one point, it was 48-0, then 54-7. Okay,
correct, and they came back and because they were winning at one point 28-0.
Right.
Last night, 20-0.
20-0, right.
Last night, and they came back from 28-3. They wound up winning at 23-7, and again, Brady's numbers continue to be just ridiculous. But last night, in what was a real pea super in Foxborough. I mean,
it was
the fog and everything.
Oh, easy with the fog. I've been in a fog game. That wasn't fog last night.
Right,
okay, that was a little bit of mist.
Fair enough.
All right,
compared to what you saw on the banks of
or what I didn't
Lake
see
Michigan
in Chicago at 88
in a playoff game. But one way or another, the Patriots they are rounding into form. It really is, and it reminds you that you feel like an idiot now for having said anything about them. Early in the year, I was watching them and thinking, my goodness, they look so vulnerable, and they did. And here they are a couple of weeks later. Now, the Falcons just aren't that good. The Falcons should have lost to Detroit and should have lost to Chicago. But all of that's, I mean, two of the 3 games that they've won. But even having said that, the Patriots are rounding into form. Their defense looks a lot better, and they ran the ball 36 times last night.
They did.
36. Forget the 162 yards. Just that they ran it 36 times. They're so balanced right now. The Patriots look like they are rounding into exactly the team we thought they were going to be.
Held the ball for about 9 minutes more than Atlanta. And when you're up 17-zip at halftime, you certainly can go to more running in game. But you normally would say that, but with the Patriots, sometimes that's not true. Sometimes they keep throwing that short pass. But they did run the ball. He threw it 29. They ran it 36, as you mentioned. No interceptions, though. We did throw the one interception, a bad pass into the end zone, but there was a roughing the passer call. Again, don't hit Tom Brady, wrong.
There were some of those all over the league yesterday.
It's just hits that look so normal now, or look so normal, are just not normal now in the NFL. And listen, I've screamed about it for years. It's not going to change. And it bums me out a little bit that some hits that just look like normal hits now. I don't mean the vicious ones. I understand they wanted the game, but I still say it's gone too far the other way, and a lot of it is on the quarterback, and some of those were yesterday, I think, including that call. But, you have to deal with it, and you have to know as a defender. I think it's tougher and tougher, but there was roughing the quarterback on that, so the interception was wiped out, so he didn't have any interceptions last night. But I look at their defense. I mean, this is supposed to be an explosive offense in Atlanta. It hasn't been as much this year, but that defense is the worst pass defense in the league going into that game. They were the worst in the league.
This was the first time they didn't give up 300 yards passing in a game.
Exactly right. And they played better. There's one thing you can expect your guys to play better, and they did. Schematically, when you're covering Julio Jones, you cover him up close. You have help over the top. You know that, so you can play it a little differently. So schematically, you can help. But the guys were playing better as well, and that's what you thought. You heard some of our former player defensive backs say there was communication issues in the backfield that they could grow into a bit. I know Rob Ninkovich came on and said it could take a while to get that chemistry, but it depends. If you're veterans and you could work things out and get communication going, physically you're a pretty good player, and when you start to play better, and they seem to be rounding into that right now. Now, by no means are they a great defense. They played really well last night. What they need now to do now is to show consistency there.
And so the Patriots, with a big win, the Falcons in the Super Bowl rematch with a chance for revenge, fall very, very short on the road on a Sunday night. Let's take a listen to what some folks had to say afterwards. Here's our Louis Riddick watching the Patriots play and very impressed with what he sees.
The system is tried and true. Okay, the players, quite honestly, were messing up the system, meaning they weren't taking what they learned in the classroom, then what they practice, and then taking it to the game. And primarily it was about communication. Mm-hmm. Less was more tonight. They lose 2 starters. They put in 2 guys who maybe not as talented, all right, in Jonathan Jones and Johnson Bademosi, who go into the game, but they do it the right way. They do it exactly the way they're taught to do it, which means being physical at the line of scrimmage, having no communication errors. They mix in a little bit more zone along with the man. And the results are exactly what they are.
So that's what you see. You see the difference from as Lewis said, from the classroom onto the field. Guys just flat out, number one, playing better, which they needed. You feel you had the talent to do that. And then schematically, Patricia is an excellent defensive coordinator, so he's going to figure it out as well. They'll all work together to figure out. You can't keep them down forever there. And they played well, again, against a team that is struggling. No doubt about it, but you got to start somewhere, and they hadn't been doing a good job, and they did last night.
What do you make of the struggling? Let's focus on that for a second.
Yeah.
This is the Falcons' offense that has basically all the same pieces they had a year ago.
They do.
They got Ryan, and they got Julio, and they got Sanu, and they got Freeman, and they got Coleman, and they got all these names that you know. Now, of course, Shanahan left, and they got Sarkisian there. Can that have made that much of a difference? Is the Super Bowl hangover that real of a thing? The Patriots entered the game last night as the worst statistical defense in the NFL, and they were 30th in points allowed, 30th out of 32 teams, and they gave up 7 points. and they were pitching a shutout into the fourth quarter against the Falcons. So, Mike, did that tell you more about New England's defense or Atlanta's offense?
I mean, listen, well, we've been seeing that out of Atlanta. They haven't looked that good. You mentioned a couple of games that they easily could have lost. So I was waiting for the New England defense to round out into form a little bit, and that's what they're starting to do. Atlanta, I know Sanu has been nicked up. Julio Jones has been nicked up, but they were out there. You're out there. You're ready to go. That offensive line we talked about being solidified last year when they got Alex Mack. So they got the same running backs in Coleman and Freeman. So I'm a little surprised at what's going on. So and you asked the question. Could an offensive coordinator, could he make that much difference? The play calling, the relationship of coach and player of Kyle Shanahan, who was the old coordinator, is now in San Francisco, and Steve Sarkisian taking over now. Could it make that much of a difference? Obviously, it's not one thing. It's a combination of things. But when something like this is going on, you're like, oh, well, they have this injury or that injury. Well, they don't. They got the guys out there. It's like the Packers where Aaron Rodgers is on the sideline and, both the offensive tackles are missing time and you're missing guys on defense. These guys are out there. Now, Beasley had certainly missed time for them on defense, one of their best players on defense. But offensively, we're talking about 343 total yards, 7 points. I mean, that's so uncharacteristic of this offense. And if they don't have an offense that's doing this, they're not going anywhere. I mean, I felt horrible about keeping them out of the playoffs in my preseason picks. It's actually looking pretty good now the way they're going.
Well, that division is crazy because Tampa, they gave a game away yesterday in Bob. I don't want to say it that way because the Bills
are a good team.
Yeah, I mean, you fumble a kickoff.
I'm with
whatever. Tampa is a huge disappointment. How does Carolina, with 11 days to prepare for a game, go to Chicago and basically get blanked? They scored 3 points in Chicago yesterday. They lost a game. Did Mitch Trubisky, how many passes did he complete?
At one point, he was 3 of 6, and I think it was in the third quarter.
No, he only completed 4 passes. He only attempted 7 on the whole day, and they lost. They got killed.
They had the ball for about 2 minutes in that game. They had the ball for 21 minutes. Carolina had the ball for over 38 minutes in that game.
So the team that's emerging in there is New Orleans. New Orleans are winning games in a row like crazy. They're getting pedicures today. Did you see that story, by the way?
Yeah.
They're celebrating with pedicures.
They were
my kind of team.
The first, I knew you'd like that. They were the first ones to play a Aaron Rodgers-less Green Bay Packers this year. And, Brett Hundley, we all knew was not going to be Aaron Rodgers, and they're going to have some growing pains with him. But New Orleans is playing well. You are getting out of that offense what you think you would if the defense is going to play a little bit better. That's what we talked about, and that's what they needed. The two backs, and Ingram has himself a game. Kamara, who they like, with Adrian Peterson not taking any of the carries now, not like he was getting a lot anyway. You got to like what you see there. I mean, you're really doing for sure. How about Chicago? I've never, now again, we go to the DraftKings and what we play. I have never in my life, when you got to pick a defense, I picked their defense. I don't know why. I just kind of had a good feeling about Chicago's defense.
I'm stunned that you did. I would have thought Carolina was going to roll all over them.
Chicago coming off a win, going for 2 in a row. They're at home. And I thought, okay, they gave me 30. I've never seen a defense give 30 points in fantasy.
They had 2 long touchdowns.
Yeah, it was unreal, but they played well. But I'm with you about Carolina. That was stunning, and maybe even the most stunned is New Orleans sitting there atop the division.
There were 2 games yesterday that did not feature a single offensive touchdown, the Titans and the Browns, which, I mean, you could sentence felons to watching that game. It was so brutally bad. And then Panthers-Bears, which is a crazy game. Put that previous one back up there. This is amazing to me. Trubisky had 4 completions. He's the first non-injured starting quarterback to win a game with fewer than 5 completions since Tim Tebow in 2011. So, I mean, you look at it and you say, for the Bears' standpoint, yeah, they won. Good news. Certainly, obviously, a couple of wins in a row, and that's good to see. It's not because they're an offensive juggernaut or anything like that. But anyway, the point of what we were saying a minute ago is the good news, if you're Atlanta, is you're not out of it yet, right? You're not out of
you're not.
The contention in that division, especially because the Bears dropped 2 touchdowns and gave you in week 1, and Golden Tate I keep saying Golden. It was Golden Tate.
It was Golden Tate. 6 inches short.
Yeah, was 6 inches short of a touchdown, and 8 seconds got taken off the clock, and they didn't get another chance to beat them. So Atlanta stays alive in that NFC South.
Think about it. You had 3 shutouts yesterday, and you had 4 other games where the losing team scored under 10 points. There's some not some.
It was a bad day, it was not a terrific day of football all around the league. Mike and Mike presented by Progressive Insurance, comparing rates to help you save. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today and find out how much Progressive could save you. I have a pretty good trivia question for you here that Hembo just sent over as a stat. I'll throw it out out as a trivia question. Tom Brady is on pace to lead the league in passing yards this season. If he does so, he'll be doing it at the age of 40. He will be the oldest quarterback ever to lead the league in passing yards. Can you tell me who is currently the oldest quarterback ever to lead the league in passing yardage in a single season? No Googling. Maybe you've seen it yesterday. Maybe you didn't. We have the answer to that question coming up in just a moment. And also coming up, I will explain to you the following. When is a loss clearly a win?
Home isn't just a place. It's a feeling. Whether you're at home, your business, or online, ADT helps keep you safe. With security systems, home automation, alarms, and surveillance, so you can feel at home wherever you are. Go to ADT.com to get that feeling. ADT. Home. Safe home.
Hey everyone, Mike Golick here. Support for the Mike and Mike podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org number 3030.
You were nodding like you knew the answer. You had seen it already.
I had known it actually before that.
Tom Brady is on pace right now to lead the National Football League in passing yards this year. At the age of 40, if he does it, he will become the oldest quarterback ever to do it. Currently, the oldest quarterback ever to lead the league in passing yards was
Warren Moon. I think it was just over, 3,800 yards, I believe, was the...
That's not what I have, Mike. The answer to the question is not Warren Moon.
Wait, at 40 years old? I just read...
No. The oldest quarterback to lead the league in passing yards.
Oh, I thought it was 40 or older.
No. Not the most passing yardage by a 40-year-old quarterback. That is Warren Moon.
Right.
But the oldest quarterback to lead the league in passing yardage in a season.
I misunderstood the question. So the question that I answered correctly.
Okay, fair enough.
Warren Moon.
I'd like to hear that argument with a college professor.
I tried this I tried it with teachers a couple of times. I thought the question was different. I would like at least partial credit for this answer.
Professor, I do believe I deserve partial credit considering
right.
I answered my own question correctly.
Yes. The question I thought you were asking, I felt I answered at least partially correct.
Would you care to take a guess at the answer?
No, I don't care now. I don't even know the question anymore.
The oldest quarterback ever to lead the league in passing yardage in a single season.
I don't know.
It's Fran
Tarkenton.
It's got to be
Fran Tarkenton.
It's Fran Tarkenton in 1978. At the age of 38, Fran Tarkenton led the league in passing yards, and that remains the record to this day. And Brady may not wind up leading the league in passing yards, but I wouldn't put it past him.
But you know what he's going to do? He's going to pass Warren Moon for the most of the passing yards 40 or older.
That seems like a lock.
Woo! Right on the button, I hit that one.
I don't know what in the world is going on with that. I mean, the fact that he is 40 years old and still playing at this level... It is. We are seeing a new era. I mean, we are going to. I don't take back what I said. He's not going to do it 5 more years. There's just no way.
But I don't think he's going to do it 5 more years. I said 3 years. That was my number.
This year, keeps talking about 5 more.
I know. Yeah.
But what I will say is, we are now seeing, with the changes in a variety of things, I guess, workouts and nutrition and others. Plus, I suppose I have to admit, as begrudgingly as I will, the concept of resting and other things. I think we have to reassess what we consider to be old in sports now. I mean, guys like LeBron James, who in the most athletic of our sports, is approaching an age now where we'd say, well, he's got to start hitting the backside. Maybe not. Maybe it isn't the case anymore. Maybe we're going to see these guys at their physical peak a little longer than we've been expecting.
Here's one thing I'll add to it. Kind of the way the game is right now. You look at a guy like Kobe who was playing well, and then all of a sudden, what ended up costing him? Injuries, right? You start getting injured.
He blew out his Achilles.
Yeah, you start getting injured at that age, and it's tough to recover anyway. But at that age, it's even more tough. But what's the difference now? And I'm going to say this, and I don't want it to take away what's going on. But there's 2 things: they're protecting the quarterback more than they ever have. And he's a pocket passer.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. You're not going to see that. What do you not see out of a running quarterback? A long career. He stays in the pocket. He gives himself up when all looks lost for that play to come back and fight another play. So you look at the guys that sit there and say they want to play a long time. You know, Eli has said that. Eli, though he's certainly struggling from the position, he's a pocket guy. The guy that would be interesting to me, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, and now way younger. He's way younger. I sit there and say he's 33, 7 years younger.
He's way younger than Brady.
Than Brady. So how long can he go? Because he runs and he moves and he does things on the run. Brady doesn't. Brady keeps himself in great shape. He's a pocket guy, and they protect the quarterback more than they ever have. He's got a lot of things going for him. The most things going for him is the fact that he's the best quarterback to play. That certainly helps with the decisions he makes and winning the ball and making those smart plays. But it is impressive with what's going on with him.
As this season, certainly early part of the season, he's been getting hit a lot, though.
He has.
Is the one thing. For
he's
a pocket,
sacked 18 times he's been sacked.
And hit a lot.
A lot more. Yes.
So that does, you would imagine, start adding up at 40 or at any age.
Yeah. Agreed.
We'll see. Right now, he's playing as well as he ever has. We're Mike and Mike, presented by Progressive Insurance. Jam-packed guest list today. Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. We'll look ahead of the World Series with Buster Olney coming up off the top of the hour. We got Jeff Saturday and Booger McFarland, Donovan McNabb, and James Franklin, head coach of Penn State, after the shellacking they put on Michigan, but no rest for the weary. They get Ohio State this week, and game day is going there to Golik's chagrin.
Way to go, Herbie.
All right, in a brutal day of injuries yesterday, one of them, and I don't mean to belittle a person being hurt, but one of them, one loss, was clearly a win. And I will frame the story in the following way. For the life of me, I have no idea why Jay Cutler has been the Dolphins' starting quarterback this entire season. They've been historically bad on offense, unimaginably bad on offense. And from the moment Matt Moore set foot on the field yesterday, they looked like an entirely different team. For those of you who didn't see it, the Jets were beating the Dolphins 28-14 yesterday, and the Dolphins came all the way back. And I can't prove this, but I would bet you everything I own that if Jay Cutler doesn't get hurt in that game, the Jets win.
And I wish they would have, because that was my nerd pick. I picked the Jets over Miami. So
and look, there's so many different things that happened in that game that frustrated me that I don't even want to start. But let's focus just on that here.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I know Adam Gase likes Cutler, and I know that Cutler knew the system and everything else came out of retirement. But he's been awful. Their offense has been awful. They've been winning basically in spite of their offense the last couple of weeks. Yesterday, the minute Matt Moore walked on the field, and again, I don't know, Mike, you would have to tell me whether if the defense is preparing for one guy, that a new guy comes in, it changes things up, whatever it is. They were an entirely different offense with Matt Moore on the field yesterday than they were with Cutler. They look a million times better, forgetting all of the body language and everything else.
Right.
Moore is a fiery guy and all the rest of that. They're just better. So that loss was a win. Cutler's going to be out a couple of weeks. I can't see any way in the world he winds up their quarterback.
I would be stunned. Let's see how Matt Moore plays. Obviously, Matt Moore is going to get the opportunity. I mean, yesterday was 13 of 21, 188. It did have an interception in the game as well.
Fault. The interception was not his fault.
It was not. A couple of touchdowns as well. So I'm with you. If he plays well, there's no way. By the way, they're 4-2. The Buffalo Bills are 4-2 and New England's 5-2. So if Matt Moore is playing any kind of significant quarterback, there should be no doubt. I know, the old adage, if you don't lose your job to injury, that's been gone by the wayside for a while now, especially when, Jay Cutler was not the original guy anyway. Remember, it was Ryan Tannehill, if those that want to go all the way back. It was missing the season. That's why Cutler is even there. So I'm with you. If Matt Moore shows any kind of life for this offense, there's no way they can go back to Jay Cutler.
Ryan Clark was talking about it with SVP on SportsCenter last night.
The injury to Cutler is what for the Dolphins?
The best thing that's ever happened to the Miami Dolphins organization.
Whoa.
Period. They were undefeated. They were wrapped by Mercury, all that.
Okay.
Absolute best thing.
I'll bite. Why?
Because now you have a quarterback who's engaged, a quarterback who cares, who's efficient, who understands this team, how you want things run, and he makes plays. Listen, he threw for 188 yards today, 2 touchdowns. He brings you back into a game which your other quarterback essentially was trying to throw you out of. You have Jarvis Landry, you have Kenny Stills, you have a good running game. He's the type of quarterback you need.
One of the differences, too, you see the ball go down the field more. Jay Cutler, he has the arm to get it downfield, and we get him into trouble at times. He's averaging 5.5 yards per throw. Check it down where Moore is going for 9 in the time there, 9 yards. So we'll see if that keeps up. Again, now that he's going to take over the starting role, we'll see how efficient he could be. But I know the whole feel of the offense, and they talk about Cutler and the attitude and stuff. And certainly, if you're not playing well, that could be a drain. But they were 3-2 going into the game. They were above 500, so they were right there. It's still right there for them. But it just does seem more. It just seems different with Moore out there. It does. So everyone, you said that. Ryan Clark said that. I get it. But now Moore's got to go out there and do something. Okay, he's going to have the chance in the next couple of weeks because Cutler's going to be out. So he's going to have to prove that he should be the guy. And if he does, if that offense is more efficient, there should then at that point there should not be any hesitation by Adam Gase at all to say we're just staying with this guy.
Yeah, look, there's a reason that he's never been anyone's full-time starting quarterback. I'm not suggesting that he's going to make you forget about Tom Brady, but boy, he's a 1,000 times better than what they had going into that. And the way the Jets lost that game yesterday was so unimaginable that I have to keep reminding myself they're not good, because, they're just not a good team. They stripped it down to the studs this year. Yep. They're just trying to paste something together. And Josh McCown, did you see the interception he threw at the end of that game?
I did.
I mean, that's something that if like a rookie, if a rookie who had never played in a game before in his entire life threw that pass, you'd bench him, right? For a guy who's 70 to throw that pass yesterday was unimaginable. I mean, I'm not upset at the Jets, at the coaching staff or anyone for making the decision to try to win the game with 47 seconds left and 3 timeouts because you have a veteran quarterback who knows the one thing you can't do in that spot is throw a pick. If it's not there, fall down and play for overtime. For him to just throw the ball up in the air like that an interception that could have been fair caught is one of the great brain cramp moments that you've seen from a smart veteran that you'll ever see in your life. That was one of the worst plays I've ever seen.
That was a bad one. Okay, you might be over-embellishing.
No, one of the worst. Yeah. It was one of the worst. I want you to say that. I'm not going to a break until you say it.
No,
say it's one of the worst plays you've ever seen.
It's not one of the worst.
It is one of the worst plays you've ever seen.
It was a bad one, though. There's no doubt about it.
I'm telling you right now, it's one of the worst plays you've ever seen. You've seen some bad plays, but that was the worst one. Mike and Mike brought to you by Upside. Now save big on travel. Get a big gift card with every trip you buy. You will love Upside.com. That's Upside.com. People liked it when I ranted last week about the call, so I'll rant about this. I don't believe that they should suspend the quarterback for that. I believe that they should bring legal charges against him. I think it's not inconceivable.
But don't take him off the field because God knows who you're putting on the field.
Well, listen, if you're putting him on, listen, whatever. That was yes, you're correct. If you're going to put Hackenberg out there, then he'll do that in the first quarter instead of with 47 seconds left, and you won't have to bother with a 14-point lead. All right, what else have I got here? I got injuries all over the league. Yeah. I got tweets. I got the baseball World Series and all that still to come here.
And let me throw one in. There is a backup player that went in that will be part of a trivia question.
We'll see if you get the right trivia question. I don't mean the answer. Let's see if you get the question right this time.
God knows. No, I probably won't.
As we continue. Buster Olney coming up off the top of the hour here. Lots of Twitter reaction to a variety of different topics we'll get to. But let's begin here, Mike, by paying tribute to a guy whose streak came to an end yesterday. And everyone will remember Cal Ripken's streak, and that will be remembered longer, and a bigger deal will be made of it than Joe Thomas's consecutive plays streak. But Thomas's streak might actually be the more impressive one. To be out there for literally every single offensive play, 10,363 plays, is one of the great accomplishments we've ever seen in sports.
It really is. That was a shame to see. As soon as you saw the end of that play, you saw him go down and grab. I thought it was his elbow or it was up in his triceps. It looks like the way he went down and grabbed. Listen, you play that long, you've gone through some pain. And the way he grabbed his arm, he was in a lot of pain. He said after the game he has 0% use. And he was even saying, listen, give me 30 to 40 to 50% use of it, and he'll go out there and try and play. But he said, I can't use it all. And he looked like he was in pain. That's stunning because the trivia question will be, if you want to hit that. Since 2007 for the Cleveland Browns, who was the first left tackle to go in other than Joe Thomas? That's going to be the name. From 2007, gang, when he was a number 3 pick overall out of Wisconsin, he has been at left tackle every single play. As Greeny said, 10,363 plays. We had him on right when he passed 10,000.
Yep.
And the name of the guy that went in is Spencer Drango. That's going to be the name. That
great name.
Who took? Yeah, he was a 5th rounder a couple of years ago out of Baylor. But that's what he's good. He's the first guy to take a snap at left tackle for the Cleveland Browns since 2007. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it is just crazy.
The quarterback at the time when this injury took place yesterday was Cody Kessler, who was 13 years old the last time they played a snap without Joe Thomas on the field. That's not the only significant thing about Cody Kessler being in the game. Because maybe you're thinking to yourself, I thought DeShone Kizer started that game. And you're right.
He did.
He did. But once again, they pulled him. He threw an interception at the end of the first half. He threw an interception at the beginning of the second half. And they yanked him out again. So let's make this Straight Talk brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Because Hugh Jackson, the coach, said he didn't even know at the time that he made that decision about yanking him out of the game, about the video that shows that DeShone Kizer was in a bar late Friday night into Saturday morning. Now, Kizer himself said afterwards when he was asked about it and was told there was video of it, look, I was at the facility preparing for the game before that, and I was in the facility on time preparing for the game all day Saturday. Mm-hmm. I'm not here to talk about my personal life. It doesn't make any difference where I was on Friday night. And maybe he's right. I would ask you that question here. You have a rookie quarterback who is clearly struggling, but in his defense, he's on a terrible team. I mean, an absolutely terrible team that obviously has no idea what. I didn't think things could get worse for Cleveland than they were, but they have. So having said that, does it make any difference to you that he was in a bar late Friday night?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't make one bit of difference to me. But he's going to learn that he can't, that from the optics standpoint, that's probably not the thing for him to do.
So in that regard, it almost does make a difference.
Well, for him in optics, I'm talking about in the locker room, his teammates, it does. No. Again, for those, kind of the way the week works, kind of Thursday night is that night where a lot of players will go out. A couple days before the game, certainly players will go out on Friday night, especially the single guys will go out on Friday night. They've gone out because Saturday is basically it's a walkthrough day, and depending on when you have to go in, I think for the Browns it might even be late morning, early afternoon.
Early to mid-afternoon.
Yeah. So, I mean, normally we would have to go in the morning. When I played, it was always in the morning on Saturday, but these guys not till the afternoon. So guys are going to go out. So no, that doesn't, and I know we went through this with Manziel, but don't even start making the comparisons just yet, okay? About the going out and flying to Vegas and doing all that, admitting that you're not looking at the playbook or studying the playbook when you're a backup as to what Kaiser's doing. So Kaiser's been benched twice, so he's the one that has to deal with that. Do we sit there and think that he doesn't know the playbook because he was out? Now, a lot of people say, well, he got caught on video this one time. Does that mean he's been out before? I don't know that. But if you're telling me a player was out at 1 or 1:30 on a Friday night when they play on Sunday and they have to be at the facility at the early afternoon, I'm not going to be shocked. Nor are any players in that locker room going to be shocked. But because you're the quarterback and the starting quarterback in the NFL, the optics of that, they're going to lay it on him. They're going to lay it on the coach. Hugh Jackson already pulled him aside and talked to him about that. So that's something DeShone Kizer is going to have to learn to say, you know what? It's absolutely my right to go out. Other guys go out. I should be able to go out, but maybe it's not a good idea for me to go out. But me personally, don't care.
Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. Bottom line of it is, whether it's out Friday night, in Friday night, or anything, I mean, he's in, then he's out. Then he's on the field, then he's off the field. Then Kessler's in there, then Hogan's in there, then he's hurt. Then he's not playing. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Absolute mess.
Ridiculous.
Which all seems to be leading to them drafting another quarterback next year, if you ask me at this point.
Buster Olney from the World Series off the top of the next hour. We're busy with Mike and Mike on a Monday. Stay right there.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I've never felt more alive.
Disclaimer. Geico cannot guarantee you will feel more alive. You either possess functioning respiratory and circulatory systems, or you do not, or you are a zombie. If you are indeed a brain-starved zombie and you would like to save money on car insurance, the Geico legal team applauds your excellent life choices, even in your shambling afterlife. But we strongly encourage you to visit geico.com or download the Geico app. Please stay a minimum of 500 feet away from our large and presumably delicious, delicious brains.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.